kidnapped me from school so he could sell me for money.
What?
Some kind of living creature crawled out of my body.
Hello everyone, my name is Moxie, and today we are going to be reacting to Share My Story / Honey Entertainment. And the first video we were reacting to is I Gave Birth in Class. Peep the Tate McRae merch. I got it at her concert in July. I just thought y'all needed to see it. Let's get into it.
Taking a school exam when I suddenly got a severe stomachache. I could no longer concentrate on the exam questions, so I raised my hand and said, "Mr. Jones, I'm feeling sick. Can I go home?"
Go home in the middle of an exam? Sure, but then you'll get an F and fail the class.
Hello?
Oh God, I didn't want to repeat the whole school year because of one bellyache, so I stayed in class. But what happened next was the most humiliating experience of my life, because some kind of living creature crawled out of my body. Anyway,
What? How would you go through 9 months of being pregnant without even knowing?
It's Alexia, and this story starts when I was 8 years old, and my own dad kidnapped me from school so he could sell me for money.
What? What does that have to do with you being pregnant and giving birth in class? Why was your dad trying to... Okay.
He called my mom and said,
"You can get your daughter back, but I want $20,000 in exchange. So sell your car and jewelry. You got 6 hours.
My mom immediately came to pay the money and buy me back, but the damage was done. Being sold by my own dad was such a traumatic event that I developed permanent abandonment issues, and
Yeah! What? Your own father? Why did he...
feared that my mom would have a change of heart and decide to sell me away too. I'd watched a lot of How to Catch a Predator episodes, so I knew there were evil men looking for girls.
I love that song. ICP forever.
So to put my mom's love to the test.
I just got a cat that kind of looks like that.
Hi. How are you? Come here. Come here. I love you. I love you. You're my sweet baby, aren't you?
Her name is Wisp. She's so beautiful.
I do creepy things like catch stray cats and shave off their fur. My mom always got terribly upset about it.
Wait, you would what? You...
Again? Why are you doing this? Are you a psycho or what? Well, I wanted to behave as despicable as I could to see if she loved me even at my worst. Unfortunately, my mom was working 2 jobs and rarely had time to show me affection. That's why I constantly got in trouble, so she would spend more time yelling at me. To me, that was the ultimate proof that she cared about me. Like when I didn't come home until late at night. "Where have you been? It's 2 a.m. At a party." "A party? You were only 14. Yeah, it was weird. There were mostly college students drinking, smoking, and kissing. Actually, none of it was true. I hadn't been to any party.
I would kick you out of the house. You're not my daughter anymore. You're out of the house. If you came into my home that I paid for, and you're like, "Yeah, I just got back from a college party, even though I'm only 14. Out. Never come back. Ever. Never.
I was just hiding behind a bush in our backyard, so I could see if my mom would worry if I went missing. I said, "Oh, and I had my first kiss tonight at the party. The guy was already 19 and really drunk, smelling like vodka, but I loved having his tongue in my mouth.
Out of the
I
house.
should party more often."
You did what?
To punish me, my mom made me help her out at her job. She was working in a croissant factory, and the croissants came out of the machine straight, so my mom had to bend them for 8 long hours, 6 days a week. It was the most boring and tiring thing I ever had to do. She said, "Do you think I like this job? Because I don't. I only do it so you can live in a safe neighborhood and go to a good school.
Right?
I'm working this crap job to pay for your bills, so stop causing me so much trouble." After that, I never questioned my mom's love for me again.
What made you want to be a horrible daughter? Your dad selling you for money? Your mama should have swallowed you.
I still had issues though. To compensate for my dad abandoning me, I dated lots of guys, and normally several at the same time. You might think that's disgusting, but I enjoyed it because it made me feel like I was wanted. It was a substitute for my dad not loving me. But a few years later, while at a party, I saw the boyfriend of my classmate Mina. I suddenly felt a strong urge to seduce Mina's boyfriend, because if he cheated on her with me, then that would be the ultimate proof that I was desirable. I approached him saying, "Hey, want to go in a room with me and lock the door?"
Sorry, but you really aren't my type. You're a bit too overweight.
As a chubby girl, that is what you get. That is what you get. And you're still...
Was pretty drunk, so it took some back and forth to convince him at least to make out with me. However, we did so in the middle of the room with everyone watching, which is why his girlfriend and my classmate Mina found out about it. Mina was so mad that she told everyone in our school that I had seduced her boyfriend. And suddenly, every girl
Deserved.
hated me, even my best friends, because they thought I would try to seduce their boyfriends too.
Because you will.
Mina even took the wet sponge from our blackboard and said, "Let's see if boys still like you if you have no makeup on." Then she wiped my face with the dirty sponge until all my makeup was smeared. Of course I didn't enjoy
Deserved.
being bullied, although I knew I deserved
Yeah,
it.
you do.
I had no friends left and felt incredibly lonely. So, when this older college guy, Robert, chatted me up on Facebook and invited me to a party, I said, "Sure, can't wait to see you." Robert was a bit of a jerk though and said,
Oh God, you look thinner on your photos. Jesus Christ.
"Well, maybe, but there are things I can do that no other girl can." We both ended up wasted, and the next morning, I couldn't remember if we had slept with each other or not.
Aren't you, like, still 14? Aren't you still 14? Oh my god.
So to be sure, I took a pregnancy test 1 week later. What I didn't know back then was that for the pregnancy test to work, I should have waited until my period was 1 week late. Meanwhile, I started taking birth control pills to reduce the risk of getting pregnant in the future. So when I stopped getting my period, I just thought it was because of the pills. The only pregnancy symptom I ever experienced was me gaining 50 pounds. Although
Damn.
I thought I was just eating too much junk food. 9 months later, I was so fat that no guy was attracted to me anymore, not even the ugly ones. Then, while sitting in my math exam, I suddenly got a terrible stomachache. "Mr. Jones, can I go home? I'm not feeling well." Mr. Jones had always hated me and replied,
Go home in the middle of an exam? Sure, but then you will get an F and fail the class.
"But I'm serious, my belly hurts."
Oh God, I suggest you sign up for drama classes. Maybe they will appreciate your acting skills.
And
I didn't
fired.
respond to his stupid remark and tried to finish the exam, but the pain became unbearable, and I started begging, "Okay, please, someone call 911.
Calling an ambulance isn't a joke. It's a serious offense. I hope you know that.
Dude.
I was in too much pain to argue with this moron, but luckily one of my classmates called 911 after I started moaning and screaming in pain. It was too late though. Something was coming out of me.
I should not have signed up to watch one of these animated stories anymore. I shouldn't have done that. I don't know why I'm back here. Okay.
I know how stupid this sounds, but I still didn't understand that I was giving birth. I mean, I never had any symptoms of being pregnant, not even a big belly. That's why I thought I had an alien growing inside of me that finally wanted to come out.
Not assassination
I screamed,
classroom.
"Pull it out! Pull it out!" But my stupid teacher still thought I was acting. Well, until he saw the head of my baby come out. He finally realized that I was giving birth and began to help me. After 30 minutes of intense pain, she was out, and I was holding my beautiful baby daughter in my arms. I was brought to a hospital.
That's so embarrassing. I know birth is supposed to be this beautiful thing, but that is so embarrassing. That is so embarrassing.
And immediately called my mom. "I just gave birth! You have a granddaughter!"
Uh-huh, honey. I'm sure you did. Well, see you for dinner.
I couldn't be mad that she didn't believe me. When I finally brought my baby home, she still said,
You're taking this joke too far. Where did you get this newborn from?
"The doctors told me I had a cryptic pregnancy, which is a real thing when you are pregnant without showing any pregnancy symptoms. It's rare, but not unheard of. Well, anyway, I gave my daughter the name Surprise. It took my mom another week.
You named your daughter Surprise? That is the ugliest shit I've ever fucking heard. For a name? Yeah, she was a surprise, but... Nah, if I was that baby, I would push you off of a cliff.
Week to process that her only daughter had become a teen mom. In the meantime, I texted Robert to let him know that he was a father. He replied, "I would rather die than be the father of your child. Don't you at least want to take a look at her?" No response. I knew he wanted to avoid taking responsibility, so I visited his parents' house where his mom opened the door. "How can we help you and your cute little baby?" "Are you Robert's mother?" "Yes." "Your son got me pregnant, and now he has to man up and take responsibility." You should have seen her face. She was shocked and said, "Oh, please come inside." Robert was there too, but instead of looking at his daughter, he immediately berated me, screaming,
"You fat, dirty girl! You were trying to ruin my future! Sleeping with you was the worst mistake of my life!"
Then came the big shock. He told me to give our daughter up for adoption. He saw our baby as some kind of annoying problem he could get rid of.
He's gonna try to sell your daughter for money! Oh my god. Oh my god. Time really does repeat itself.
I said, "I'm gonna raise my baby with or without you, but you better get a job and pay me child support."
Ha! I won't do flip. This is your fault, and I hope you both end up in the gutter.
What bothered me most was his stupid mother who just stood there and didn't say a word.
He can go to jail for not paying child support. So, just use that against him.
Did she feel ashamed of her son's behavior? I got so mad that I took a vase and threw it at them while screaming, "I will burn this whole house down if you don't pay me child support." Both of you burn in hell.
That is so mean.
To their house, and I didn't see Robert again for 10 years. Until one day, he suddenly stood in front of my house and said he wanted to meet his daughter.
No.
You abandoned her, never paid child support, and now you want to step into her life as if...
Wait, okay. So, child support, it says $430 or so a month. Okay, 430 times 12. 530 times 12 is 5,160 times 10. He owes you $51,600, and that's only an estimate. So he can meet his daughter once he pays you over 50 grand. I would say that.
Nothing happened.
I am her father, and I have the right to see my daughter.
And I have the right to get the money for child support.
I gave in anyway because I thought it would be better for Surprise to have a father. So Surprise spent a few weekends at Robert's house, but every time she came back, she told me how much fun she had with him. "We went to the cinema, and Dad and his girlfriend bought me the biggest popcorn bucket." Meanwhile, I was a broke loser with no high school diploma who could barely pay the rent. I never had the money to take Surprise anywhere that was fun. I was jealous, and the next time Robert picked up our daughter, I stalked him to find out where he lived. It turned out to be a gorgeous house, much bigger than anything I could ever afford.
You would have been able to afford it if you had a little bit of help with child support. If he can afford that, he could pay you $430 a month. That's not even that much, to be honest. That's like... He should have been able to pay you way much more than that, like $1,000 a month, if he has that big of a house. But he didn't give you anything. So yeah, of course you're not going to have that much money. Of course you're not going to do this. Like, that is horrible.
And that made me furious. After all, I had to drop out of high school to raise my daughter, while Robert could graduate college, find a well-paying job, and build a career. It wasn't fair. So out of jealousy, I forbade Surprise to see her dad anymore. "But Mommy, I will miss Dad so much." "I understand, but trust me, I know what is best for you."
Okay, but that's kind of wrong. I understand being jealous, but you kind of, like, as a mother, you would want your child to be happy. And if her dad makes her happy, then... And if he's not a bad dad, like, I understand he wasn't there for 10 years. But I don't know. I'm only 16. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, Robert decided to sue me over our daughter's custody, and because he could afford better lawyers than me, he got 50% custody of Surprise, which means that she now lives with him half of the time. I won't lie, it feels like someone stole my daughter away from me. On the other hand, Surprise having a father is a good thing, so maybe I just have to learn to be less selfish. What do you think? Am I the bad guy in this story, or is it my baby daddy?
I don't think you're the bad guy. I think you just have trauma, and... you're scared. I mean, I understand you were really young and you had to drop out. You had to do all this, and that was his fault. Like, I mean, I understand you seduced him, but at the same time, like, he still put a pee-pee inside of you. So, like, This next story is homeless and pregnant at 16. I don't know, I just saw this. This is the last story for today. Okay, let's go.
Since I was born, my parents completely ignored me. So it's no wonder that I turned out weird. When I got into primary school, a girl asked me when my birthday was, and I responded, "What's a birthday?" The girl was confused, saying, "It's the day you get presents because you turned 1 year older." I said, "Oh right, I saw that on TV, but my parents don't do that." You see,
That's
I
sad.
was raised by a nanny. She sometimes took me to the playground so I could interact with other kids, but that was rare. Normally, she told me to stay in my room and be quiet.
That's so
I never
sad.
learned how to make friends. Being lonely is incredibly painful. So I was
Right.
happy when my new classmate Romero approached me. inside the
Oh,
school bus.
Romero, why you... I don't mean to judge, but he looks like my butt. Oh my god.
Romero approached me inside the school bus, saying, "You look fine, girl. What's your name?"
You look fine,
I
girl.
respond, but he kept talking and even asked me out on a date. I said yes, even though he was quite creepy. When we met, he always sat down right next to me, putting his hand on mine. Most girls wouldn't have liked it, but this was my first touch with another human being in years.
Aw.
It felt so good. He even started coming over to my house. And while I just wanted to play games, he often tried to kiss me. But I was only
ew.
14 and not ready for anything romantic. So I rejected his attempts. But even without kissing, we became a couple. I didn't mind how creepy he could be. Sometimes he stared at me for minutes without saying a word.
Me.
But other times, he just held my hand and it felt like heaven to me. At age 15, I allowed Romero to stay overnight and
Why is he getting so freaky? Put on clothes! Put your clothes on, bro! We're young! Put your clothes on, please!
sleep in my bed. Maybe you can guess what happened next. I got pregnant and only found out about it when my belly grew bigger. I told Romero about it and he got really angry, screaming, "How stupid do you have to be to get pregnant?"
What I don't understand about these animated stories is because the men always get so mad. Like, how stupid can you be to get pregnant? You're the one who did it! It is not my fault you didn't pull out. Like, that is not my fault. Like, what do you mean?
My parents are gonna kill me if they find out. I
Womp
responded,
womp.
"Don't worry, I will keep it a secret," and Romero finally calmed down. You see, because of my social anxiety, I avoided conflict at all costs.
yeah.
Whenever Romero got angry, I did everything I could to make him stop screaming at me. But I wasn't completely innocent either. I loved
Hello?
the idea of getting a baby. Finally, I would have a best friend, someone I loved and cared about. But while I was cooking myself dinner, my mother noticed my belly and asked, "Are you pregnant?" She hadn't talked to me in months, so this must have shocked her somehow. She called my dad over, and when he saw my belly, he said, "You can't give birth and keep living here. You will give the baby away once it's born."
No.
I wanted to say no, but was too afraid and just started crying. What if my baby would be adopted by a family that didn't care about it?
No, because your parents are so shitty and they're trying to make you give away your only best friend. That's insane. You maybe should have been better parents and she wouldn't be pregnant at 16. I'm just saying.
No way I would let that happen. So I came up with the most stupid plan any teenager had ever come up with. I bought a tent and decided to move into a forest once the baby was born.
What?
But in my 36th week, my dad wanted me to sign the adoption papers, and when I refused, he told me to leave his house. Suddenly, I was homeless and spent my
What is
first
with the
night
sound
at a train
effects?
station before I decided to check into a hospital. Everything went well, but when my baby was born, my dad snatched it away from me. He attempted to leave the room, and for the first time in my life, I stood up to him, screaming, "That's my daughter, give her back!" I jumped on his back and bit him as hard as I could.
After
The doctors
birth,
took the
too.
baby away from him. I think he even got arrested, but I didn't care.
Period.
When I saw my daughter, I knew she was the only thing that mattered now. But I left the hospital with no money on me. So I had to sneak into my parents' house to get the tent and steal some food before I set up camp in a nearby forest. Like I said, I was weird and stupid. I hadn't thought about
That's
how
not your
cold it
fault.
would get at night, and my baby kept crying non-stop. The next morning, the police woke me up. Apparently, homeless people aren't welcome. But when they realized that I was a teenage girl with a newborn, they brought me to a women's shelter. It
Good.
was a weird place. It offered free food, but it was run by an aggressive trans woman, a man who decided to become a woman.
Okay.
Everyone was scared of her. One time she came
Because she's trans? Why did you have to add that part? I'm confused.
over to my baby and stole her pacifier. My baby started crying while the trans woman laughed
Why are we just calling her the trans woman? Give her a name or something. That's crazy.
about it. With this psycho near me, I couldn't stop worrying about my baby. How did I know this man wasn't just faking it so he could be around vulnerable women and hurt them?
Oh.
Well, Romero finally came to visit us. Until then, I hadn't thought of him as a father, but he seemed to enjoy playing with his daughter. I could tell it by the way he looked at her. At the end, he said, "You can't stay here. You aren't safe with those druggies around you." But where shall I go? My parents aren't the nicest people, but when they see the baby, they might change their mind and let you two move in with us. We arrived at his home and his mom opened the door. She was a big woman with a scar around her neck. She said, "Who is she?" And Romero responded, "I got her pregnant and now she needs a place to stay." You idiot! And who's gonna pay for the baby? Me? Are you freaking insane? You won't have to pay for anything. I will get a job and take care of her financially. Ha! So you drop out of school and become a loser like your dad.
He
Just
never
let her
said
live here
he's
for a
gonna
month.
drop out of
His
school.
mom took a look at the baby and said, "Ugh, no way this thing is gonna move in here." We left disappointed, but the following week, Romero found a job as a cashier
Good.
so we could rent a small apartment. I believed Romero wanted to become a responsible father, but instead, he became a bigger and
Oh my
bigger
God.
jerk. He enjoyed owning me and forbid me to leave the apartment unless I was with him. His behavior got worse and worse until I finally had enough and spoke up to him. I said, "You don't respect me. You treat me like an object." So what? I dropped out of school to take care
You didn't have to do that. You can get work after school. You can get work during the weekends. You can do all this. You can get work during the summer. Even if it wouldn't technically be enough, it's still a job. It would be way better to have a job and graduate high school so you can go to college or get a job immediately. Like, that is your fault. You decided to drop out of school. Like, you could still technically have a baby if you only work a little bit. Like, at least you're at school, you know? Like, and at my school, you can take days off of school to go to work. Like, oh my God. This man does make me so mad.
of you. Show some gratefulness. I had enough, and while he was at work, I applied for several call center jobs because I wanted to become independent. I immediately got accepted and thought about dumping Romero. But I knew he would try to get revenge on me, maybe by taking 50% custody of our child.
And how would
So
you do
instead
that?
of dumping him, I forbid him to touch or kiss me until he treated me with respect. Of course, he went berserk. And after just 3 days, he told me, "Fine, it's over. I hope both you and your daughter end up on the streets."
Bye. Bonus That was the end of it. That guy was crazy. The guy from the one before was crazy. I don't understand these stories. Okay, guys, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like and subscribe if you are new. Comment down below new video ideas or literally anything you want. I post almost every single day, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I love you all so much. And mwah.